Hey guys, this is Sean Harrison here, and I wanted today to talk to you about ROCD and relationship anxiety and abandonment issues. Is abandonment in your childhood, in your life experiences growing up, something that can affect you in your adult life, and is it connected to ROCD or relationship anxiety? So if you're experiencing relationship anxiety or ROCD, I'm here to tell you today that abandonment issues is one of the key players in ROCD and relationship anxiety, okay? On a subconscious level, and this is what my partner Eva and I work with, on a subconscious level, you have certain factors in your patterns of behavior, the way you act and react, that play out in your day-to-day. And what happens is you have your conscious mind, which is what you're actively doing now, listening to me, watching this video, and you have your subconscious mind, which is the operating system that is running the rest of your actions, reactions. Your breathing, your heart rate, and all that sort of stuff is automatic. But reactions, beliefs, values, emotions, traumas is subconscious, and it's learned behavior. And you learn this over time. Your subconscious is effectively driving the way you act, react in your day-to-day. So, subconsciously, you might be reacting in ways that you don't want to react or act in your relationship because of something that happened previous to you in your past, like an abandonment issue. So if you're experiencing ROCD, relationship anxiety, it could be because of that, okay? So I'm going to give you some examples here, right? When you were a baby, when you were born, you would cry for anything that you needed because that was the only way you communicated. You would just cry because you needed to be fed, you needed to be kept warm, kept clean, kept safe, and comforted, right? You didn't feel less than, you didn't feel not good enough, you didn't feel not lovable. You just demand these things of your parents, of your caregivers, just normally. That was just innate, you were born that way. As you get older, you still have these expectations of wanting to feel safe, secure, to be loved, to be given attention, to feel validated, and all of these things from your parents. And as you get older, you start to notice that these things aren't always given to you, right? So for example, if your mom or dad are really, really busy, they're running around trying to do loads of different things, and they're trying to look after you, they're trying to look after your siblings, you might feel ignored. You might not feel that their attention is on you anymore. And that could become quite a shock to you, age 3 years old. Now, if you did something great and you were jumping around for joy and you tried to get your parents praise, acknowledgement, and they didn't really give you that acknowledgement that you wanted, that you craved, that could play into not feeling good enough, not feeling lovable enough, right? You would say the words potentially in your head, well, you know, if I did better, if I did that even more amazingly, then, you know, my parents would really notice, okay? And you might hear them speak about someone else. You might hear them speak about someone else's child and how well they did. And then you'll start to compare yourself, right? From a very young age, that starts to happen, okay? Now, even worse for a child is if a parent leaves the family home. So dad leaves or mom leaves and they're no longer there. They leave to go for work. They leave altogether because the relationship has fallen apart. Whatever the reason is, you as the child who is left in that family home without a father or without a mother would feel, well, my dad or my mum would have stayed if I was good enough, if I was a good enough child, if I was lovable enough, they would have stayed. And in fact, that might not be true, right? That might not be true at all. In fact, you are lovable enough, you are good enough, and they would have stayed if they didn't have their own issues. It's more about them than it is about you as to why things happen. But you were too young to understand that. You were too young to really take that in and appreciate the situation for what it was. And that will play out in your adult life, and it'll continue to do that, right? So if you experience betrayal, if you experience heartbreak, if you experience being lied to or being dumped, right, you will start to internalize that in the similar way where you would say the words, I'm not lovable enough, if they wouldn't have dumped me if I was good enough, if I was interesting, if I was good looking enough, or whatever it is, right? But again, it's not about the partner that may have broken up with you. It's not about the partner that dumped you. It's not about the partner that's broken your heart. It's because they haven't got their own issues in check, okay? And that is fundamentally the truth of it. And the same for you. You need to look inwards. You need to understand what you're thinking and feeling, and how you're acting and why you're reacting the way you're reacting. And if you're experiencing ROCD, relationship anxiety, that will be the reason. Feeling of abandonment, feeling of childhood neglect, feeling of various things that were playing out in your younger years, and now they're playing out in your adult life, right? And again, that is your subconscious way of acting and reacting. It will continue until you deal with it. One of the number one things that you can do is actually take the time out and write down what your beliefs are, what your thoughts are, what your feelings are, picking out the patterns of behavior that you're displaying in your relationship, right? And if it's, I'm showing a real sense of overdependency, mistrusting, being distant, being very private, being withdrawn, then it could be something that you would need to then look at and work on, right? So you might be saying the words like, I don't believe I'm good enough. I don't believe I'm lovable enough. I will always get hurt. And that might be why you're showing these patterns of behavior. So it's important to write these things down, understand what these patterns of behavior are, and then turn those beliefs around. So instead of saying, I don't believe I'm good enough, write down, I am good enough. I am lovable enough. I am interesting, and I will not always get hurt. I will always be okay no matter what happens, right? And if you write those turnarounds down and you read them every day for at least 21 days, you'll start to shift your subconscious beliefs around the way you think, around your patterns of behavior and the way you believe yourself to be. Okay, that will change, but you need to do that inner work. It's no good just thinking about it and thinking you're done. No, write it down, because there is a connection between a pen and paper and you actually writing it out. And when you read these things back, it starts to shift in a different way. Okay, so guys, I hope that helped you. And if you have any questions, please let us know in the comments below. Take care. We'll see you in the next video.